Tell me, what kind of an impact could a cancellation like this have on the Buckeyes' playoff chances?
I don't think it's going to have a huge impact on Ohio State's playoff chances. I think other teams, because Ohio State has looked so dominant, and I think they will continue to do that in the games played, I think that they're still going to have a chance. I think it's for the outliers and the teams that the committee's not really sure on. I think that's where this season takes the hits. But I want to encourage the committee and all of the different conferences, the commissioners, that this is a year of adjustments. This is a year where we have to be willing to adjust. Listen, y'all know that I love the tradition of college football. But if there's a year to change, to adapt, to grow, to be able to figure out something that works best for these student athletes, this is that year. And so I want to see people continue to adjust, to work. Listen, the best teams are not the teams with the best game plan. They're with the best adjustments. That's the same with the NCAA, with the commissions. They need to be the best in adjustments to support these teams, coaches, and players.
Bob Bowlesby, commissioner for the Big 12, Tim, talked on radio, I think, yesterday when he was saying that it's possible that the college football playoffs may be postponed. He doesn't anticipate that playoff games or a championship game will be played in February, but you can't rule anything out at this particular moment in time because of the pandemic. What are your thoughts about that? Do you anticipate a delay? And if so, do you have any issue with it?
I don't anticipate it, but I think I would be okay with it. To me, we change our priorities a little bit this year. This year is, instead of following all the schedules like most of the year, this year is what is best for the players, what is safest for them, and then you get into more different criteria, right, of how can you compete in all those other areas. So if there's a better way to keep them safe and still compete by pushing it a week or two, I'm okay with that. If you think it's better to open up the playoff this year, I'm okay with that too. I would look at a lot of different scenarios, teams that maybe would be on the bubble but didn't get enough games, a Big Ten team, a Pac-12 team. I would be okay with that. Like I said before, I think we need to be open to using wise counsel, a lot of discernment, and a lot of ability to adjust when needed.
Tim, I totally agree with you about adjustments. The perfect is the enemy of the good. Against all odds, they've played as much football as they already have. And we can't expect things to be perfect. If they finish the season, it's a miracle. But they should have had these contingency plans in place. We knew November there'd be a spike. We're up over 120,000 cases a day. But we knew there would be a spike. You would think they would figure out, they would have something in store. What have you heard about the level of preparation in the event that these things happen? Because we knew it was coming.
Well, I think there's some conversations, but I don't think those conversations have gone really deep from what I've heard. So I think they're starting, but I think it's always important to be ahead of the curve, to be ahead of that ball, right? And so I want to encourage the people in charge, the leaders, to let's continue to think ahead. Let's be in front of this, right? Knowing that there could be setbacks in different areas. And so but it's also not just, we can't just work as individual conferences and individual teams. I think if there's a year where we can rally together to come together as a whole to say what is best, let's do that. This is the year. Use your leadership as an example of working together, not just setting your standard apart. I think that would be an awesome learning opportunity for all the students that are watching, and I think it would be a really great example for them to say, you know what, we're going to do what's best. We're going to come together, all different commissioners. Let's get in the same room. Let's figure this thing out. Let's sit and let's work together, and let's kind of put our pride or the mantle of just our conference down, and let's put up what's best for the kids, what's best for the unity of college football together as a whole.
Listen, you're not a doctor, and I'm not asking you to be, and I don't want it to be taken that way. But as a former, Heisman Trophy winning elite athlete on the collegiate level, I ask you this question: when you hear about these guys testing, like Maryland players, 8 different players testing positive and what have you, we all have our thoughts about how you can contract it or whatever. You could be completely innocent or whatever the case may be. What are your thoughts about that in terms of how they may have contracted this? And is there anything at all that you believe football programs in particular could be doing to alleviate some of this?
I think it's a really hard question to answer, Stephen A., because it's different at every school. The protocols are different at every school. I don't know everything about how Maryland's players and their protocols work. I know more about what's the SEC, more about Florida in the different ways, but some have hit, a little bit more, and some have been a little bit more cautious. And so I think it's a balance. I think the one good thing is something that I'm happy for is I haven't heard of any serious cases, which we're still hoping and praying that there are no serious cases with these, these college athletes. And so, like we talked about maybe 2 months ago now, is I still think that they're in the best position being with doctors and in these protocols because they're being cared for every day and they're being monitored. And while there still are some setbacks, I do like that they're around people that know what they're talking about a lot more than me on the medical side. And so I do think that's a good thing. And I think people are really trying to go, at least a lot of schools I talk to, a lot of them are going out of their way to truly try to put the player first, and I'm grateful for that.
Well, talking about setbacks, we know Trevor Lawrence has missed 2 games. A lot of people now putting him maybe aside as far as winning the Heisman. Who would you say is your Heisman frontrunner?
I think number 1 right now would probably be Mac Jones, and that's just a tiny bit over Trevor. I mean, a tiny bit. I think Trevor in the next few weeks, next few games, has an absolute shot to win it. I'm just going a tiny bit because Max played a little bit superior against a few better teams and played better competition. But this is still a super close race. I'll also throw Kyle Trask in there from the University of Florida. But I think there's a lot. And when Justin Fields plays more games, I think he's going to be right in the mix. And I think there's a lot of players. I think the Heisman is absolutely up for grabs. I think there are some front runners, but I think this thing is wide open for someone to come and have those Heisman moments down the stretch to really take it, if they have enough games.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.